Hello, welcome back to my channel, Naga. Moi ajido hole to eta Neingulo Krome human rights activist laga. Tai lulen shot tai ki koise. Itu laga moi olop naga mano ke dekhai dibala mono hogine ahi ase. Tai human right activist kure tamde itate thaga tamde tai kam bishi kurigina aha laga mokan itu bi dikhibo parise. Aru tai tate shode ko laga tai itu bishi lamba ase itu la video to holebi moi kati gine important points itu kanye moi kati gine aji to dekhabole ase tai naga manu laga atrocities naga manu dud pa laga itu kan bi tai choigina ase itu kan bi tai koigina ase aru tai inaga koigina ase itia negotiate kora government of India logote itu to choto ase itu para upor hobo lage tai hina koina ase that means sovereignty independence itu hobo lagi ase itu kan hoise hole itia negotiate kora itu kan sob থাকিব ahi jabo koise moi itu kan poila para moi naga manu logote koigina ahi ase itia negotiate kora to choto ase itu opor hobo lage tai tal lulen shode tai itu koigina ase itu bara naga manu leaders kan society leaders individuals hobi oni kan naga manu mon mili gine mogan itu eta kuribo lagi ase mogan dangor lobo lagi ase tai hinaka koigina ase aru tai poila itu eta naga represent kurigine tai United Nation de meeting kora thamte naga United Nation kan Kosovo eta choto country eta backward nation eta independence dibo hogine ta kan declare kora laga tai declare kora tamte tai mom biya paigine kiman teri ta kan fight korise itu question korise koise itu tamte ta kan 15 years ta kan fight korise na koise itu tamte tai go sa hogine Nagaland to 50 years opor ami kan fight kurigine ahi jaise kile Nagaland laga to kile kinaka hogine tai question korise aru itu tamte naga manu laga case itu nes tehe sabo enaga ko laga mokan itu hunibo parise aru kile Kosovo to independence pai loise age de takhan bi naga manu nishina mon na miligine alak alak thaki shakuse aru bi Kosovo to hole takhan laga pitor de mokan itu jagara kori thaki shole mokan itu nation itu harai jabole ase itu minde mokan ekta koribo lage hoine kam kori gine ekta kore pichete takhan ge independence declare korise na koise takhan date kami sob koi dise itu nimide itia naga manu apuni freedom pabole mon ase hole individual laga opore hoi jase naga manu laga leaders kan laga opore hoi jase apuni kan mon miligine naga manu to ekta koribo lage hoine ta nigina rakhibi na ina asole to naga manu laga case to ji hole bi pabole ase United Nation to itia naga manu laga itu concern digina thaga mokan itu bi huinise naga manu laga next day Nagaland itu sawo hogine takan koigina ase kitia mokan ekta kuribo itu mokan ji holebi itu to pabole ase holebi ekta nokona tak to naga manu inaka hi lifetime future laga generation laga itu kan sob harai jagine itu kan sob biya hogine thakibo naki moi inaka hi babi ase idura naga factional leaders kan hobe overdone leaders kan hobe civil societies religious leaders awni kan itia initiate koribo lagi ase mogan ekta koribole awni kan laga hatte ase aru public manu kan bi kinaga society kinaga naga manu itu unity thakibo itu laga he mokan kotha koribo lagi ja ase ekta laga side plate na koigina common goal nimite common benefit nimite mokan itia ekta kotha kobo lagi ase moi itia Neingulo Krome human rights activist tai kinaka koigina ase moi itu naga manu ge moi dekhai dibo
of India's intention was the act of the military was an act of genocide to annihilate us from the face of the earth. I mean that was if you look at the stories of the Nagas then there's not a single Naga family who have not suffered death or injuries or been arrested, tortured. Every Naga family has a story to say. But it also happened because of the assertion of Indian leaders. Like, for instance, the first Prime Minister of India, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, when he came to Nagaland with the British, Burmese Prime Minister Unu to Kohima in 1953, and then since the Naga public was not allowed to meet him or make any representation, he felt so insulted. He went back to the Indian Parliament, and then he declared in the Indian Parliament that even if heaven falls and rivers runs with blood, he will not allow Naga to be independent. And that he said, I will crush the Naga people within 1 week. I will station 1 soldier for every tree in Nagaland and crush the Nagas. Those were the assertions. And those assertions influenced the Indian military even to do what they were doing more excessively. Then even in the later part of the 70s, say, when Morarji Desai became Prime Minister after Indira Gandhi, he also went to London to meet Piso. Maybe tried to convince him to surrender or give up the fight. But when Piso was clear about his stand, he again told Mr. Piso that he will, what was the word? But he said, exterminate. He will exterminate all Nagas and he will not have any compunction to do that. And after saying that, he came to Kohima, and in the Ras Bhavan, Kohima Ras Bhavan, he met a delegation of the Naga Students Federation. Even that time also, he made the same assertion what he told Piso. So when prime ministers were saying that kind of things to the extreme, that he will exterminate Nagas without any compunction, the army was encouraged to do more and more. So definitely, MP Machar was formed in 1978. I'm not saying that MP Machar have done all this, whatever, not taking the credit in any way. But before that, there were no organizations that could speak out. And for complete 25 years, from 1953 to 1978, there was a blackout. Like you talk about the blackout in Kashmir recently. Right. There was complete blackout. There was no newspaper to report what is happening here. Indian journalists, foreign journalists, nobody was allowed to come. About them, in 1960, somehow one Gavin from London managed to come to Mallory. I mean, so besides that, there was no newspaper reporters. No people were allowed to come to Nagaland, and there was one paper called Citizen's Voice in the 70s, which reported about Naga villages being burned, and then the newspaper was conveniently banned. I think to search for evidence is not far, but we don't want to dig out all these ugly stories because there will be further misunderstanding among the Nagas. So nobody is clean in a way, but I think some stories are best not repeated or told. That's why I think we will not like to go so much deep into such ugly side of the stories. Human rights movement, whether I am there or anybody else is there, it doesn't stop with a person. Human rights issues will have to be addressed even after Naga gets independence. So these are issues that we try to educate even to the armed groups on occasions. But the fact is, in order to not this ugly history repeat to our children, the future generation, the only possible way is to see that these political conflicts are resolved. So when ceasefire came, MP Machar made it a point that we follow the ceasefire process, the peace process, and we try to strengthen the peace process in every way we can do, and we know how. In a way, to my understanding, it's not leading us anywhere. Now, for something to happen, for something good political solution to happen, it all will depend on the Naga people themselves. As long as we think that India can give us the kind of solution, that's an illusion. India can never give us the solution that we want. The present negotiation that is going on, whether it is the framework agreement or agreed position or whatever, these are promises made to be broken. And India will not be sincere in implementing. So Naga people ourselves, we need to understand and learn to live what should be our history. If to live our history, we have to live independently, and not to be dependent on others. But at the moment, everybody seems to be looking at the negotiation for a solution. So if we are able to come together, understand our future together, learn from our past history, then I think there is hope. We can always assert ourselves. There are many countries who are much less developed than us, or smaller than us, but have gained their independence, even in this period of ceasefire that Nagas have been going through. Some of them are, say, that Timor-Leste, which was called East Timor those days. In 2002, they got independence. Aceh Republic in Indonesia, they are so much more backward than Nagas. Then we have stories like the Kosovo. They are so smaller than Nagas, people, even population-wise, but they're all independent because they are able to come together and assert for themselves. People who are very uneducated in a way, very backward in a way, but they came to a conclusion that if Bougainvilleans, they too had started fighting among themselves like Nagas, but they say that if we kill each other and finish each other, when Bougainville become independent, who will live in Bougainville? So they decided that in order to save Bougainville, let us stop fighting. And then that's how they become independent now, though in a very difficult situation. So Nagas will need to learn. And I'm hopeful in many ways that we can get what we aspire for from a different angle. Not necessarily through the negotiation that is going on. We think that we're too small. But United Nations is completely aware of what is going on in Nagaland. I've been invited as one of the international leadership visitors to the US program.
Okay.
So during those, that was in 2007, and during those meetings, even this Kosovo was still under Serbia.
Okay.
So one of the representatives from Kosovo and another representative from Serbia and Montenegro, they were also there. And in that meeting, the United States representative told the Kosovo representative, because he refused to wear the badge of Serbia,
Okay.
saying that please don't make a fuss about this, because you're going to be independent next year on March 18, he said, even the date.
I see.
So the representative was so happy. Then, but later on he was given the badge of Kosovo. I was there and I got so jealous. I said, "What have you done to this to be given this independence? How many years have you fought?" So they said they fought for 15 years. So I said, "We have fought more than 50 years, and what about us?" So the Kosovo guy was telling me, you know, the ears of the diplomats hears only the sound of gunfires and bombs. Maybe trying to say that we have not fought enough. But at the end of the day, after 21 days of these programs being over, the same person who said that Kosovo will be declared independence in March, because our meeting was also in March 8 to 29th of 31st of March. So said that Kosovo, you're going to be independent next year, and from now on, we are going to be thinking of Nagaland. That was the exact word he said. And in the same year, 2007, in London, again the House of Lords, they hosted a meeting
Okay.
of parliamentarians for national self-determination, where representatives from Kosovo, from Punjab, from Tajikistan, Nagaland, and all the struggling people, many were also invited. So our Nagas MPMHR Secretary General was Mr. Venu at that time. I was in the Naga Hall those days. He was also there. Some of our leaders from the NSCN were also there. So even in that meeting, the House of Lords again said that Kosovo will be independent very soon. And this was in December. And they got independent in March. And they also said that next, from now, we'll be thinking of Nagaland. Now, what I'm trying to say is when Kosovo was declared independent, Nagas, if we have not been fighting among ourselves, I think our story could have been a completely different story now. But I so feel that if Nagas can assert positively without fighting, and then we don't need violence to tell India also. And if countries like that can also keep their word, I think there's a very bright scope for us to be what we want to be. I think especially the present generation, let's say today's Nagas, we are also crossing that stage now. I'm so 60 plus. Our stage and our elder stages. These two batch of people who have been very destructive. The elder batches, they have sacrificed so much, but there are still people in the generation ahead of us who are still very destructive, and they continue to poison the minds of the Naga public. But I think the younger generation, the present Nagas and the younger ones, they are not fools. They're much wiser than us, our batches and our elder batches. And they know how much the division among the Nagas have been causing all these difficulties. So I think given the opportunity, I think the younger generation will not repeat what we have done. What we need to do, the present generation, the elders, is to give space to the younger people to also live their expectation. Now we're trying to control everybody, our batches. We are poisoning the minds of the public. And even in terms of tribal enmity, say between the south and the north, east or west Nagas, it is the present generation, the elder generation, that continues to poison the minds of the Nagas. Otherwise, I think the younger generation, they're at peace with each other, and they know how their parents are struggling and fighting among themselves. So the hope is the present generation who are not being able to assert themselves. And people who have been destructive, we know very much, need to understand that our days are gone. Our days are gone. And we must not continue to destroy the future of the younger generation. So I'm quite hopeful that the present generation have all the knowledge of the world in their fingertips. They know what is good, they know what is bad. So I'm sure they will not repeat what the elder generations have done. So we just need to give them space, and the elder generation who have been just trying out for their personal vengeance on any issues must stop this trend of creating poisoning the minds of the younger people. I think what the present leadership must understand is we need to go beyond the present negotiations. Flag and constitutions are not to be an issue actually. When there is opportunity for us to self-determine our own future, to determine for ourselves, whether we use flag or constitution is our wish. We don't need anybody's permission. But they have made that an issue, and that has become the roadblock. But I think we need to go beyond this present negotiation. We need to go beyond this negotiation. Naga people must be able to come together to assert, and here the Naga public must play their positive role. But as I've been saying in some areas, the Naga public has become more destructive than the national workers, which is a very sad thing to happen. But by compromising the future of the Nagas, and by compromising what the movement started for, I think we're going to destroy our history and our future. And that is the biggest thing which we need to defeat. And the Naga generation of today, the leadership of today, is doing exactly that, betraying the cause of the Nagas for which they have started, and then borrowing the future of our children. If there are questions of the present leadership, whether it is overground, underground, state politician or national workers, leaders would understand this. But they seem to be too comfortable in their comfort zones. This needs to be checked and analyzed properly.